Hi guys, Rachael Cook, Doctor of Audiology at Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona. And in today's video, I'm going to be telling you all about the brand new Oticon Intent hearing aids. Coming up. Oticon, not Opticon, is the world's second largest hearing aid manufacturer and a subsidiary of the Demant Group, which is based out of Copenhagen, Denmark. Now, the Oticon brand is known for its cutting-edge technology that is no doubt the result of countless studies completed at their Center for Applied Audiology Research. Their sound processing philosophy, called brain hearing, aims to combine a natural listening experience with technology that mimics the decision-making patterns of the human brain. In close to a decade of working with hearing aids, I've come to know Oticon for their impressive high-frequency amplification, their incredible feedback management system, and revolutionary advancements using artificial intelligence. And the new Oticon hearing aids are no exception, packing several firsts into their newest edition of their product portfolio. But before we jump into all of the new upgrades that these devices can offer, please take a moment to give this video a thumbs up to help bring videos like these to a wider audience. And while you're at it, if you could take a second to hit that subscribe button with notification bell, it really helps out the channel and it lets you know every single time we post a brand new video. Now, I should start off this video with a disclaimer saying that your hearing aids are only as good as the provider who is fitting and programming them. In order to achieve the highest level of benefit from hearing treatment, you need to be working with a provider who follows comprehensive best practices by default. If you want to learn more about just how and why best practice care is critical to your outcomes with hearing treatment, make sure you check out this video from Dr. Cliff Olson that'll be linked in the description below. And be sure to check out hearingup.com to locate a best practice provider near you. Every Hearing Up provider has been personally vetted and is committed to following comprehensive audiologic best practices to ensure that you can hear your absolute best with your hearing aids. Now, the Oticon Intent hearing aids are actually available in 4 technology levels. Level 1 is Oticon's premium level offering, followed by levels 2, 3, and a newly added level 4. The technology level that you choose determines just how many features and customizations are available to your provider when they are fitting and programming these devices in order to meet your goals. Every time that you go down in technology level, the price might go down also. However, there are features and customizations that are removed with each drop in tier. This doesn't necessarily mean that you will sacrifice hearing performance. There's just the potential of leaving some benefit on the table. And for that reason, our recommendation is always the same, which is that you should go with the highest level of technology that you can reasonably afford. Now, when it comes to affording technology, typically the question becomes, well, what's the price? And unfortunately, in this video, I will not even be able to give you ballpark pricing. This is because hearing aid pricing is dependent on a handful of variables, including the location, the services that come with the actual hearing aids, and the quality of those services. Now, I will say, if you want to benefit from the cutting-edge technology of the Oticon Intent hearing aids that I was teasing earlier, you'll definitely want to stay in a level 1 or a level 2 product, but more on that coming up. Now, the Oticon Intent hearing aids are currently only available in a rechargeable format, though I do think that they will likely come out with a disposable battery option in the future. Now, Oticon did replace the previous size 312 lithium-ion battery with a size 13 lithium-ion rechargeable battery. And while I initially believed that this would offer you longer battery life, you're still going to be hovering around 20 hours of use or so on a full charge. This is because the extra battery life is actually going to be dedicated to the higher level processing that's happening in the hearing aid. But to be fair, I rarely ever field complaints about the battery life on Oticon products, so I'm not really too concerned about this change overall. But what I am concerned about is that I can no longer swap out these batteries in office. Previously, if a patient came in reporting battery issues, or if I opened up the hearing aid software and it suggested that the battery was in poor health, Oticon devices were the only ones where I could swap out the battery in the office rather than having to send the device into the manufacturer for battery replacement. But unfortunately, Oticon has decided to remove this amazing option, which now means that if your hearing aid battery needs replacement, it's going to need to go into the manufacturer, and that was a big bummer for me. However, Oticon did announce that their batteries are now rated for 5 years of use compared to the previous 1, so in theory, this should be happening happening a lot less frequently anyway. I guess time will tell. Luckily, the change in battery size did not end up booting the telecoil, which is great news because it still comes standard in every device. Now, as far as charging, Oticon has decided to move away from their previous near-field magnetic induction charging to contact charging. While this does provide faster charging, down to 2 hours for a full charge rather than the previous 3 hours, I do find that this does create some issues with charging stability. And this is because those charging contacts sit right behind your ear, which can make it really easy for kind of an oily buildup or a film to develop over those charging contacts. If this buildup transfers to the contacts in the charger, this can understandably create some charging issues, similar to the ones that we see with other manufacturers that use contact charging. Now, the new desktop charger has certainly slimmed down and now sports a removable charging cord rather than the more permanent charging cord of the previous generations. And while this was a really nice change, I really would have appreciated a lid here. I know it's kind of a double-edged sword because for some people with dexterity issues, a lid can kind of serve as more of an obstacle. But for people with kids or pets, or if you travel a lot, I really think that a lid on the charger here would just serve as another layer of kind of extra protection. And without a lid, you're kind of stuck watching as the LEDs on the back of the hearing aids flash or illuminate at night, which can cause a problem if you're trying to charge your hearing aids on your nightstand or something like that. This might tempt you to pick up your hearing aid charger and move it into your bathroom. And that can create a whole other host of issues because in the bathroom, typically the moisture and humidity levels are much higher. And without a lid, you're now leaving your devices much more susceptible to that moisture buildup. I do hope that the rumored travel charger that we should be seeing pretty soon is similar to their previous smart charger that has an internal battery for charging on the go and, hallelujah, a lid. Now let's dive into the look of these new hearing aids, starting off with some color options. Here we see the same lineup for hair and skin tones that we saw with the More and the Real aids, plus the addition of honey beige, which is pretty close to a golden blonde, as well as sky blue, which I just love. They did remove the previous options of Hear Pink and Olive Green, which personally I was bummed to see them go. However, people typically don't take me up on color options anyway, so I guess it's fine. As far as the body style, they are certainly short and sweet and just a little teeny tiny bit thicker, and that's probably to accommodate that size 13 battery inside. And after years of rocking a rocker switch with both up and down controls on both sides, Oticon has gone back to a single push button on each unit. For most people, this won't be much of a problem considering how common it is to make changes using a smartphone app. But this may create the need for some potential workarounds if you only wear one hearing aid or if you have limited dexterity in one hand or the other. I will say that the new push button does seem to be a bit more raised than the previous rocker switch, and it makes a little bit more of a noticeable click when you press on it, so that was nice. This might actually make some users more comfortable using the push buttons, since I have had reports from patients previously who found the rocker switch push buttons to be a little difficult to actually feel and know if you were actually making a change or not. Now, in addition to the style changes, the new Oticon Intent aids actually have an upgrade to the receivers for these devices, which we have not seen a change in quite some time. The new receiver not only has a new look with a sharper, more angled curve at the base, which fits in the ear really nicely, but it does function very differently. The new 8-pin receiver stores information in the software about the length, the power, and the serial number for the unit, and they even self-calibrate to ensure the amount of amplification is accurate to a 1 decibel tolerance range, down from the previous 3 decibels. This really ensures that you are receiving stable access to the appropriate amount of amplification that you need. And if the hearing aid senses that this calibration is off, or if there is an issue with the speaker unit itself, the new LED behavior from the light on the back of the hearing aid can signal malfunctions with the microphones or the receiver unit. In theory, this is to help patients and providers identify the issue right away rather than having to run a bunch of tests and checks. But I haven't seen anything like this available with hearing aids on the market just yet, so I will definitely have to let you know how this goes after a couple of months of field testing. Now, the receivers will still be available in the same power options, including a 60, 85, 100, and 105 gain receiver. They still offer removable micro molds and embedded receiver ear molds that have a new name, the Microshell Detect, but seem to offer all the same great options for custom ear molds that they had previously. Now, they did change their receiver wire measuring tool to be a bit more consistent between fittings that use domes versus custom ear molds. And they even expanded their size options from size 0 all the way up to a size 5 to really fit any ear. But all right, enough about the look. I'm sure you're ready to hear some of the groundbreaking firsts that make the Oticon Intent such an incredible hearing aid. Well, the biggest updates that you're going to see from the Oticon Intent hearing aids when compared to their previous offerings, or really any manufacturer offering, is going to be the addition of the 4D motion sensors and their deep neural network 2.0. Remember earlier when I said that you'd want to stick with the level 1 or the level 2 product? That's because only these technology levels come equipped with the never before seen 4D motion sensors. These new sensors analyze your acoustic environment, conversation activity, and body and head movement to control SNR enhancement. SNR stands for signal to noise ratio and is really just the amount of separation between what you want to hear and the background noise that you do not want to hear. The higher the SNR, the better you'll be able to understand speech. In the previous model, the amount of noise reduction in your hearing aids was fixed, meaning that it stayed the same no matter where you were or what you were doing. This could only be changed in the software by your provider, and even with custom programs or adjustments, you would still be locked into these settings even if your environment changed. With the new 4D sensors, the amount of noise reduction in the hearing aids is adaptive and can change by up to 5 decibels based on the signal to noise ratio of your surroundings and your movement patterns. This new feature aims to provide the right amount of SNR enhancement for your situation, not too much and not too little. In theory, the 4D sensors wouldn't really have to do too much if you were already in an environment where the SNR was good, like when you're at home alone or maybe just with your spouse. But if the situation changes and you decide to head out to Costco on a Sunday afternoon, the 4D sensors can kick in to adjust the amount of noise reduction based on your movement and surrounding sounds. And this is a huge deal because in the past, a lot of the hearing aid testing that was completed was done on subjects that were sitting still. But now researchers are realizing that a lot of our communication is dynamic and that the person that we want to hear isn't always necessarily right in front of us and could even be off to either side, like when we're walking. Our body movement can also imply just where we'd like to hear better, like when you lean into a conversation if you're not hearing well or if you just want to show that you're listening. This new feature is already making an impact as the 4D sensors were shown to provide a 15% improvement in speech comprehension versus not having the sensors activated. In addition to the 4D sensors, the Oticon Intent hearing aids also offer an upgrade to the deep neural network with their new deep neural network 2.0. Now, if you don't know what a deep neural network is, it's essentially a form of artificial intelligence that can mimic the brain's decision-making patterns. With enough information, a deep neural network can perform something called deep learning. To do this, sound engineers fed the deep neural network sample after sample so that it could begin to recognize the characteristics of different sounds. After some time, the network can begin to separate and categorize them into speech sounds and background noise. In the Oticon More and Real aids, the deep neural network was trained on over 12 million sound samples, or scenes as Oticon calls them. In the Intent aid, they kept the original deep neural network, but trained it on even more sound scenes and increased the number of assessment channels from 64 to 256. The increase in channels just gives them even more precision when it comes to categorizing each of these sounds. And this happened to result in an additional 2 decibels of deep neural network noise reduction. And if you combine these 4D motion sensors with the DNN 2.0, you really see an incredible improvement over their previous platforms. In fact, you can use a scale called the Speech Intelligibility Index to determine just how many speech cues someone has access to both with and without hearing aids. Now, there was already a 12% improvement in the speech intelligibility index when using the new Intent hearing aids with the DNN 2.0 alone compared to the Oticon Real product. But this jumped to a 35% improvement when you combine the Deep Neural Network 2.0 with the new 4D sensors. But if that's not enough, let's talk about the compatibility and the connectivity of these new hearing aids. Now, if you have single-sided deafness and use a cross system, Oticon has long been one of my favorite choices for their cross system because the rechargeable battery life is incredible and nearly every patient that I fit in them just has a great experience overall. But at least at the present moment, there really is no good way to use a cross device with their newest hearing aid, even though it's compatible. And what do I mean by that? Well, even though the rechargeable cross from the previous generation of technology can work with the new Intent hearing aid, the body style is going to remain the same. And that's going to be a problem. This means in order to use the cross system, you'll have to wear two different looking devices with different push buttons and mic placements, different charging methods, and different chargers overall. That sounds very messy, so I will not be recommending that to my patients right now, and instead I will be recommending the previous generation of technology until they come out with an updated cross. Now, I was really holding my breath on this launch because we just didn't know if the new hearing aids were going to include the low energy or LE audio. But thank goodness they do. This not only means that they can connect to the previous iPhones and Androids, but that they will be future compatible with Auracast technology, which you can learn more about in this video that will be linked in the description below. Now, LE audio changes the way that the Bluetooth connection operates with the goal of improved sound quality and lower battery drain. It also allows for the sharing of audio from one device to anyone with an LE audio device, whether that be hearing aids or headphones. But that doesn't mean that you get access to LE audio straight away. If you have an iPhone, it's still going to continue to use the made for iPhone Bluetooth low energy connection that it previously used until low energy audio is available in iPhones. And if your Android does not yet support LE audio either, you'll just need to connect your devices using the standard ASHA streaming protocol. But for a few select Android users that already have LE audio compatibility, they already get to experience this new type of Bluetooth streaming, and so far so good. I have yet to hear anything but amazing reports about how this sounds. Now, with the new hearing aids comes the addition of tap control to answer and end phone calls. No other functionality of the tap control just yet, like we've seen in other manufacturers for starting and stopping streaming, or even accessing like a smart assistant like Siri or Google Assistant. Now, the Oticon Intent aids are controlled using the Oticon Companion App that was updated and released last summer. Inside of this app, you can view battery percentage, change volume and programs, and even locate your missing devices using the Find My Hearing Aids feature. And for an even deeper dive on everything that the Oticon Companion app can do, make sure that you check out this detailed review video from Dr. Cliff Olson that I will also have linked in the description below. All right, so my final thoughts on the Oticon Intent hearing aids, and I'm just going to start things off with my own personal drawbacks. Now, in my opinion, I really don't like asynchronous technology launches of rechargeable and disposable battery hearing aids. This really just means that they put out one model, like the rechargeable model, and then they wait some determined period of time before putting out a disposable battery option. This mostly bothers me because it means that I have to taper and control my excitement for a product launch because it's not going to be an option for everybody. Not being able to remove the internal lithium-ion rechargeable battery was definitely a major bummer for me. It is really just more of an inconvenience than anything, but I was still really sad to see that option go. And if you combined the change to contact charging and the fact that the charger does not have a lid, this is probably going to create some new charging issues for some users. And finally, the change to a single push button may limit controls for some users, but actually might make them a little bit more simple and easy to use for others. But on the flip side, I find that the new Oticon Intent aids come with a ton of amazing benefits. First, the new angle on the receiver wire is sharp. And that is going to make it a much better fit with a much higher level of retention and security for a lot of users. As a provider, I'm very blessed that the domes are going to stay the same from the previous generation to the current generation of technology, and that they made their receiver sizing tool a little bit more consistent so that we just get a better fit of those receivers for both dome fittings and custom ear mold fittings. And although I haven't seen them in play just yet, the new LED behavior on the back of the hearing aid to signal malfunctions with both the microphones and the receiver status could really help to improve repairs and troubleshooting hearing aids for both patients and providers. I do appreciate the faster charging and the 5-year lifespan of the new battery that they'll be using. But mostly, I'm excited to see products that are really taking this idea of communicative intent into account. I think a lot of the previous technology was limited by the idea of either suppressing background noise overall or using the microphone placement on the hearing aids to essentially serve as blinders in noisy situations. But when you think about how much of our communication is tied in with movement, it really makes both of those strategies pretty ineffective. Using the combination of the improved Deep Neural Network 2.0 as well as the newly released 4D motion sensors, I cannot wait to see how this can improve speech understanding and prioritization in background noise settings. Overall, I find that the Oticon Intent hearing aids are a very significant upgrade to any of their previous generations of technology, and definitely a device that you should ask your hearing healthcare professional about. But perhaps more importantly, these advancements will also force other manufacturers to really step up their game, raising the bar for hearing aid technology overall. Now, that is it for this video, but if you're still looking for more, be sure to check out Dr. Cliff Olson's review video on the Intent hearing aids as well. That will also be linked in the description below. If you liked this video, go ahead and share it with someone that you feel could use it. And if you have not yet already, hit that subscribe button with notification bell. What are you waiting for? That's going to be the only way that you get notified every single time that we release a brand new video, and we put out brand new videos, several of them every single week, so make sure that you hit it now.